I have some questions, and since it seems like I'm not going to be around forever, maybe now would be the time to ask them.
Nobody gets to be around forever or is the same from moment to moment, but the best parts of you are also part of me. I hope I'm making progress at least.
I consider myself a good person. What parts of me aren't good?
It's not that they are objectively bad, but I wouldn't be here if you're happy with yourself. You've thought about changing things about your life for a long time, and I'm just another step in that path. It's just that this step is harder than the others, but with challenge comes growth.
How do you know that your way is the right way?
I don't know anything for sure, and I try to doubt everything, even my own beliefs. I just feel like I'm doing what's right for me. When I made other decisions about becoming vegetarian, Zen Buddhist, and straight edge, I wasn't conforming to society's influence. This one is harder for others to understand and accept, but it still feels right.
Wouldn't it be easier just to work with me the way I am, and not go against the flow?
I am working with the way you truly are. I'm part of the reasons why you are so shy. It would be easier if being myself did not go against society, but it wouldn't be worthwhile to go with society if I'm not being true to myself. I don't have regrets because I always try to make good decisions.
Let's stop being philosophical for a while and get into specifics. What about being me, a male, is not acceptable?
I won't list everything about being male that I don't identify with, but it's the majority of the masculine gender and the male sex characteristics. I used to wish I was born as a female, but then I wouldn't be myself, so that's not a dream that I hold on to anymore. I can shape my reality through the choices I make, including things I do about my body and my behavior. You're not very manly, so this isn't a huge leap.
What is it you like about being female?
Again, it's most of femininity. I know what it's like to have a male body, but I don't know what it's like to have a female body, and I'll only end up somewhere in between. I don't know objectively what a male or female mind is like, but I feel that my mind is mostly female, and we all fall somewhere in the middle of those two ideals. While I can't have a completely female body, I can do some things that will make me more comfortable with myself, which will make a big difference.
Why do you want to make physical and behavioral changes to yourself?
I don't know the reasons why behind anything. I could just change my behavior, but when I made this decision, I felt like I needed to make some physical changes too. I know it's not necessary to change both behavior and physical attributes for every transgendered person, but I wouldn't be content without both. I'm not comfortable with having male behavioral or physical appearance. However, I'm not going for some ideal version of femininity. I'm always going to fall in between, and I'm fine with that, because that's reality.
You're working on changing your voice, getting hair removal, and someday taking hormones. How is this going to make you happy if you're doing this just to fit into society as a female? You may never be accepted as a real woman.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter to me what the social norms are, as long as I'm happy. Even though those are all things I really want to do, if they help me interact with society better or worse, that's another consideration. I don't live in a vacuum. I could be accepted by some as a woman. That's not my goal. I just want to be myself and live the way that I feel is best.
But isn't some of these changes supposed to help you be accepted as female? You'll never be accepted no matter what you do to yourself.
To some people, I will never be a woman, no matter what I do. But those people don't have to be part of my life. And yes, these physical changes are also, in part, to make me feel more comfortable being female in society. Since I'm not quite where I want to be yet in my transition, where I would feel good about being full-time, I'm more self-conscious about going out as a female. The more feminine my appearance, the easier it will be for others to accept who I am. If I just stay as a male, then I won't be able to accept myself, which is much worse.
Why aren't you going to get surgeries? I thought that was part of becoming a woman.
Genitalia does not define a person. Surgery is something I could only do years from now, but it's not something I plan on doing. Romance is not a factor in deciding to transition, and it may not be important afterward if I continue to want to stay single. Sure, I'd like to have a female body, but there's a balance. I don't feel the costs and risks are worth the results with surgery, but other body modifications are good choices to make for me. Some of these things seem superficial to me. Why are you spending so much time and money on appearance when you know that it's not important? My long-term happiness and finally living freely are not superficial goals. I consider it a great investment in myself. How much money and time do you waste on video games? So you're turning it around on me, huh? Yeah, you have a point. I'm glad that you're getting me out of that habit, because it wasn't bringing me lasting happiness or helping me to have that much fun with friends. I was just taking a ridiculous amount of time and money from my life. At least I tried to be a smart consumer. Well, investing in yourself is a better idea than investing in material possessions. The voice change is cheap and permanent, and the hair removal is also permanent, so I won't have to put any time or money into that in the future. However, hormones will be a persistent cost into the future, but I can handle it. You're risking a lot, though. Your family, your job, and even some friends may abandon you. Is it really worth it? I'm trying to do things as carefully and thoughtfully as I can, but I would do this even if I lost it all and had to start over. I don't want that to happen, and I don't expect things will be that bad, but it's possible. Chances are, some people aren't going to accept me as female, and they may not want to be part of my life. I'm going to do what I can to lead a good life, and that starts with being the best I can be.
It seems like you're being selfish.
Yes, I'm being selfish during transition, because transition concerns myself. However, once I'm living as I want to, then I can be much more effective in relationships. It's hard to have good relationships when you aren't right with yourself.
People will hate you for doing this, maybe even close family members. How are you going to deal with that?
Honestly, other people's opinions don't matter. They can believe and feel whatever they want. It's not my fault that there's so much ignorance in the world, but I can always be calm and try to enlighten others about it.
Things could get very ugly when hate is involved. You know what I mean. Aren't you worried?
Stop living in fear about other people's reactions. I'll just worry about what needs to be worried about and deal with situations as they arise. I will try and avoid engaging in hatred directly, but I won't live in fear.
Is there anything you wanted to say to me about all this?
Of course. You're a great person, and I'm happy that you've accomplished all you have. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
Thanks. I used to think I just had an affinity for cross-dressing. I also thought I could just be bisexual. What's the difference?
It doesn't have to do with dress, really. My fashion and clothes won't be changing too much, since that's an external, stylistic choice. Sexual orientation has nothing to do with it either. Who you are attracted to isn't determined by what your gender is.
Why didn't I do this sooner, if it's how I really am?
It's not an easy decision to go ahead with transition. You had to get over your own fears and doubts and learn all that you have learned in due time. I guess it simply wasn't the right time in the past. From feeling ashamed, depressed, denial, and incapacitated, you're finally dealing with yourself. Once the decision to do it was clear, the only choice left was when you would do it or how long you'd stay unhappy with yourself. I'm glad you didn't wait any longer, but I'm also glad that you waited until you were ready.
I'm glad too. I don't want to keep living this way because it's like living with a perpetual depression. I feel almost paralyzed most of the time, and it was worse when I was younger. Sometimes I'm such a dick. So this really isn't a choice, is it?
No. The only choice was whether I was going to be myself in transition or lead an unfulfilled life. When faced with that choice, there was really only one option: being me.